Before we go into the program proper, I would like to recognize the presence of important dignitaries that are in our midst this morning. First and foremost, I would like to introduce the Provost of the College of Medicine, Professor O.A.Ojengbede, FAS, who is in Asemsia, who is ably represented by the Deputy Provost of the College of Medicine, in person of Professor S.B. Olaleye. Professor S.B. Olaleye is wearing two caps. He's representing the Provost of the College of Medicine, and is also representing himself in his own capacity as the Deputy Provost. Thank you very much, sir. Next, I would like to introduce our number 3 man in the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, in person of Mr. A.E. Odedele. Is the Deputy Registrar and Secretary to the college. You are welcome, sir. Then I would introduce to us the Chief Financial Officer of the college. Is somebody that if you really need money and his signature is not even on that particular document, I respect the people in the finance department, they will never treat such a document. So his documents actually produces money, which to me answers all things according to the scriptures. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our one and only Mr. O.A.Ojengbede, the Financial Controller of the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Also in our midst, we have the Dean of Faculty of Clinical Sciences, although you may not be seeing him sitting on the table, but is ably represented by one of our professors in the Department of Medicine, in person of Professor S.O. Ajayi. Okay. As the Dean of Clinical Sciences was being introduced, I could actually cite the Director of IMRAT, in person of Professor Ikeoluwapo Ajayi. Ma, you are invited to the high table. You will come to the high table. Yes, ma'am. Sorry for that break in transmission. In our midst, we have a brand new dean. I think I was surprised. Maybe these glasses is actually not making me see her very clearly. And every time I see her, she looks always younger. So I want to introduce to us the Dean of the Faculty of Dentistry, in person of Professor Bukola F. Adeyemi. You are welcome, ma'am. Okay, so as he's walking down the aisle, I can actually spot one of our own from the University College Hospital. Okay, so as he's walking down the aisle, I want to introduce the Dean of Faculty of Basic Clinical Sciences, in person of Professor R. Kotila. You are welcome, ma'am. Also, the chairman of this particular committee that organizes this event has also just joined us, in person of Professor Oga. You are welcome, sir. Yes, I was making an introduction. For about one of our own from the University College Hospital. As he was walking down the aisle, I could actually cite Dr. T.A.O. Oluwashola is the DC Mark Research and Ethics University College Hospital, Ibadan. Okay, is here to represent the CMD, the Chief Medical Director. So, sir, you are invited to the podium, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, our medical librarian is also here, who is also a deputy university librarian, although I've actually not spotted her, but information reaching me is that, okay, she's walking down the aisle. So, Dr. Grace A. Ajuwon, you are welcome, ma'am. Okay, so in order not to waste so much of our time, as other dignitaries join us, we'll be introducing them as the program progresses. So right about now, we are going to listen to the welcome address that will be given by the Provost College of Medicine, which will be delivered by Professor S.B. Olaleye, the Deputy Provost of College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adedayo. On behalf of the Provost, I want to welcome us to this edition of the monthly workshop for a well-informed workforce. You'll agree with me that this program has given us opportunity to hear a lot about what is expected of us as workers in the College of Medicine and the University of Ibadan as a whole. About us, about our work, about our personal lives, our health. We have had different types of lectures. About 3 months ago, I could remember, or 4 months ago, somebody was here, a woman, a former secretary to the College of Medicine. I could remember Mrs. Sete. And we saw that day that there is nothing that we can use to replace experience. She gave us her experience as the secretary to the College of Medicine at that time, and how she went on to the main university and had impact. Today, I want to say it's the continuation of that particular line of discourse. Today we have one of our fathers in the College of Medicine. We call them living legends. Those who have seen and have gone through different experiences. And he has come to give us his own side of what they were doing at that time, what he expects us to be doing. There are lots of things when these, I won't call him old, because I was tempted to say old people. He is not an old man, but the grace of God is still kicking. When our legends come and they see some things that we do, they ask questions. And it appears as if the people who are supposed to pass the information across to us, probably they did not do the work. We were taking the national anthem, and somebody was just walking. Those are University of Ibadan, a former provost of the College of Medicine, a professor of obstetrics and gynecology, a revered elder in the College of Medicine. We are privileged to have Professor O.A.Ojengbede. And I believe that we're going to draw from his wealth of experience this morning. So please make sure that you listen and take notes so that we'll be able to have improvement in those areas where they see that there are certain holes amongst us. I pray that God will continue to keep people like Professor O.A.Ojengbede so that we'll be able to draw from their wealth of experience. I want to appreciate the organizers led by the chairman of the planning committee and also the DR and secretary to the college for thinking of this kind of program and bringing the likes of Professor O.A.Ojengbede to speak to us. So I wish you a great time as you listen and as you take on this particular role, sir. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Like the Yoruba people, we always say that I think you've actually just, that's what Prof had actually given us is just the tip of an iceberg. And the Yoruba people will say, Ashimeye Bolakbo. For our English audience, that translates to mean that, I will just translate it literally. That means we are bringing bread out of our pockets. So, and the American people will say, you ain't see anything. Thank you very much. Because of our time, quickly, I want to call on Mr. Kehinde Agbola, the acting head of Information Technology Unit of the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, for ITU, to present on behalf of ITU. Thank you.
Good morning. The provost, the college executives, and the management, the things that are here, and all the dignitaries and all my colleagues. I welcome everybody to this edition of the MWWIW. Here I want to discuss just a brief of how we can make use of our free facilities on cloud to store our informations. As we are in the era of digital information. And as we are working, we should note that we should have ability to make use of these facilities that are available, especially the free ones. I want to discuss 3 major free cloud services that are available that you can make use as you work to store your resources. So the cloud resources, cloud service makes you to store your information remotely. Instead of storing, traditionally we store our information on a local system or our hard drive or flash drive. But because of the security and because of the management, sometimes you have a crash on your system. You have virus corrupting your computer. Most of the people have lost most of their files in that process. But the cloud storage give us a kind of guarantee that you can still get your service, your document back, even if you have a hardware failure or virus attack. So this allows us to store our information or your information or digital materials on internet or on the cloud service. So now, this makes you to access your information anywhere you are. You don't need to be with your computer before you can get your information. For example, most of your information, like maybe your files, your office files, your personal files, maybe most of the time we have to produce your document for appointment, your NIN, all the further information that you can get to anywhere that will ask to produce it. And you are not with your computer. How will you produce it? Personally, wherever I am, I can lay hand on all my documents, all my vital documents, because I've stored it on the cloud, and I can access it wherever I am. I don't need to be with my computer. So now another thing is this: instead of having problem, having headache on managing your files on your system, is the provider that's responsible to take care of your system, of your files. You don't need to worry. What if this hard disk crash? What if I lost this flash drive? Because it's been taken care by this provider. Now, another thing is file sharing. You can easily share your files with your friends. Maybe you are asked to share your CV, or you are doing a collective work. A group is working on a particular document. You can be working on a particular area, a chapter, while some other people is working on another chapter. So you can share files while you are using the cloud service. And the last thing is that it works on all operating systems. Maybe you are using Mac, you are using Windows, maybe using Linux, any OS. You have your files secured. Now, what are the problems that these things solve? The number one thing is solve the problem of backup. You see some people having many backups. You back up here, for example, at the time I have like 3 hard drives. Because in case of, if this damage, I can lay it all on this. It stores the problem of backup and safety. As I said earlier, anywhere you can access it. You can be in London, you can be in Nigeria, anywhere you can access your files. Now, the ones I want to discuss here, they are free, at least to some extent. Actually, if you need more, you have to pay. But the 3 ones I want to discuss here, they are free. Some are not free, but these ones are free, and you can easily share your resources and automatic sync. Now, what I mean is this: most of us that are using our phones, you can access your phone, you can access your material, both mobile or on the computer. It's synchronized. Immediately, you upload. I mean, you do when you are working on a local system. The system is synchronizing to the server in the cloud, especially when you are on internet. I want to get this note very well. You must be on the internet. That's when this thing works. So now, as I said, it's accessible on all devices. On browser, you can get it on your local system, at your work, in the place of work, and everywhere. You can make use of your computer, your files. Now, these are the 3 ones I want to discuss. Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, OneDrive, Google Drive, and Mega. Now, these are they are very. Dropbox is also common, but it's not free like that. So you see, Google Drive will give you 15 gig. Most of us have installed Google Drive already. So far you have Android phone. So far you have Gmail account, you have Google Drive. And people that are using Windows, so far you have Outlook or Hotmail. You have OneDrive. So those are the things. But many people have Gmail. They don't know they have storage facilities. Some of us are using Google Photo. All the photos that give to you from your memory, they are in the cloud. So the third one is the Mega, which product, that one is from the Amazon. That one gives us 20 gig, the maximum. It gives us 20 gig, the maximum, and which is for people that you have on Amazon. You can sign up with Amazon to get 20 gig. Meanwhile, as I said, if you want more, you can pay. But these are the basic ones that are available. Now, for Google Drive, if you want to use Google Drive, just go to drive.google.com. Once you sign up with your Google Gmail, just go to Google Drive, drive.google.com. you see your files there. You can upload your file from your system on that drive. The same thing, so it's free, it's 15 gig. It's built with, now the Google Drive has this facility, it has inbuilt tools like Google Doc, Google Sheet, and many Google presentation and Google PowerPoint. This is what we usually use to get our survey, Google Sheet. So you can share it in the real time, in collaboration, and available via all browsers. You can get this on all browsers. Now this is for Microsoft. Microsoft has OneDrive. Once you have your Microsoft Office, especially the paid version, you have access to OneDrive. That one is 5 gig, it's free. So, but you can still buy more. And once you are using Windows, it's inbuilt with Windows. So with OneDrive.live.com, you get access to your files on Google, on OneDrive. Now, the mega one, which is produced by Amazon, is the one that has the highest size, which is 20 gig. Once you sign up with Amazon, they give you 20 gig. And it works on all OS, all operating system, as I said. So, now the most important thing in managing your cloud document is arrangement. We should try to arrange our file very well so that you can easily access it. For example, if you pull all your files on your drive without structuring it, it will be very difficult for you to get a particular one. For example, you have a folder for office file. You have a folder for personal file. You have a folder for different categories, so that when you want to get a particular thing, you know the folder you are going to. And make sure you don't use more than three folders inside a particular folder, so that it will be complex to manage. This is very important. The management of our folder, management of the folder in the Google Drive. This makes it very easy for us to access what you have stored. Because what's the essence of storing information, a document that I cannot access? That I find it difficult, it takes you 2 hours to get. Sorry? Huh? Huh? It's okay. Because of our time, I think yes. Now, the summary of everything is that the cloud storage, they have free one, is accessible everywhere you are, and you can upload your local file to your Google Drive, to your cloud service anywhere, and you should be able to organize your file very well so that you can easily access all your documents. I hope you have learned something from this to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agbola. As he has rightly said, I hope we've been able to probably gain 1 or 2 things from that beautiful presentation. Very quickly, we have some online participants who have actually joined via Zoom, and I would like to quickly run through the list so that we can give them due recognition. Online joining us this morning, we have Mrs. Olubunmi Faluyi, the immediate past registrar of the University of Ibadan. Thank you. As well as we also have the immediate past president of the MWWIW, Professor Emmanuel Otolorin, is also online. We also have Mr. Abayomi Odetunde, a chief technologist, senior chief technologist in the University of Ibadan here. We also have Dr. O.A.Ojengbede online. We recognize you, ma. As well as Professor Olukemi Tongo from the Department of Pediatrics. We have Professor Olushola Ibiemi also joining us online. And then we have one of our deputy registrars in the University of Ibadan, Mr. UK Ikemeze, is also online. And our immediate past Dean of the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Oyeronke Iyodunla, is also online. We recognize you, ma. Also, we have the Dean of the Faculty of Nursing, yes, who has just joined us now, Professor Priska Adejumo. Thank you very much, ma. So we'll be recognizing other dignitaries as time permits us and as we go on the program. Now, we have actually gotten to the, almost getting to the peak of the program, and I would like to read, well, first of all, we have actually come to this program to enjoy from wealth of experience that our lecturer actually has today. The lecturer we have today happens to be an eminent emeritus professor of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Faculty of Clinical Sciences, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. And we are going to be listening to body scan of great UI in the eyes of a 50-year sojourner. You know, when somebody is actually telling you story of 50 years, you have to give such a person so much respect. Yesterday, I was in the midst of, I was in a group yesterday. We were discussing. One of our alumni in the College of Medicine visited yesterday, and he shared his life story. And the story he shared yesterday was so fascinating, and I believe that everybody actually has a story. As you are seated there, you actually have your own story. If you are given an opportunity to talk, you have your own story. So without wasting much of our time, which I wouldn't want us to do, let me just quickly go to the citation of Emeritus Professor Oladoshu Akanbi Ojengbede. I don't know whether I have that authority to actually ask him to stand, but I don't think I should do that. Sir, you may remain seated. Thank you so much, sir. Wow, I just played a bit of politics there. So we were taught. So very quickly, I will be running through the citation of our guest lecturer this morning. And of course, you want to believe with me that somebody of his caliber, if you are reading a citation, I'm very sure this is even an abridged citation that I'm reading, and I'll be very fast about it. Few people are as well placed to tell the story of University of Ibadan across generations as Emeritus Professor Oladoshu Akanbi Ojengbede. His relationship with the university is not simply that of an alumnus or former member of staff. It is a relationship spanning more than 5 decades, during which he experienced the university as a young student, teacher, clinician, researcher, mentor, administrator, and institutional leader. Professor Ojengbede earned the then Faculty of Science, University of Ibadan, Professor Ojengbede entered the then Faculty of Science, University of Ibadan in 1967. Remarkably, his journey as a teacher at Ibadan began even before he completed his medical training. Between 1970 and 1971, while pursuing his degree academic service, generations of University of Ibadan students encountered him in lecture rooms, clinics, wards, and operating theaters. He taught undergraduate and postgraduate students, trained resident doctors, supervised research, and postgraduate dissertation, and served as examiner across several disciplines. His students would later recognize him formally as an honoring and inspiring teacher. His administrative journey gave him an equally remarkable view of the evolution of the university. He served as sub-dean for undergraduate affairs in the Faculty of Clinical Sciences and Dentistry from 1988 to 1990, acting director of obstetrics and gynecology acting head of obstetrics and gynecology from 1991 to 1993, and later head of department from 2003 to 2006. From 1994 to 1998, he served as provost, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, one of the most consequential leadership positions within the university. During that tenure, he was called upon to serve the wider university as acting vice chancellor from December 1995 to March 1996. That deserves an applause. These partnerships translated into tangible opportunities for the university community, research and travel support for faculty postgraduates, research funding, tuition support, and hundreds of student research capacity development, a graduate computer laboratory support to university libraries, and opportunities for young scholars to pursue further training. He also participated in the University of Ibadan Research Foundation and in mechanisms for strengthening collaborative research and institutional planning. Professor O.A.Ojengbede retired from the university on 8th December 2019, but his association with University of Ibadan did not end with retirement. In February 2025, the university appointed him emeritus professor, formally recognizing a relationship and contribution extending well beyond conventional boundaries of academic service. It is therefore especially fitting that it delivers the keynote lecture, Body Scan of a Great University of Ibadan, in the high of a 50-year sojourn. This is more than the recollection of a distinguished alumnus. It is an opportunity for a younger generation to encounter the history of Nigeria's premier university through the eyes of someone who grew within it, thought within it, helped lead it, contributed to its transformation, and has in turn been profoundly shaped by it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to present Emeritus Professor Oladoshu Akanbi Ojengbede to present his lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you. Let me start by saying that I take it as a very great privilege to be asked to give this talk or to lead this discussion, because I have been told that actually is the subject, the intent of those who established this series is to bring to lead this discussion. So the provost, who is in absentia, the deputy provost, all the deans of faculty, the secretary to the college. By the way, secretary to the college is, okay, let me not start with controversy. Let me just go. All heads of departments that are here, distinguished administrators, colleagues who are working in the university system who are here, whether in the college or outside the college. The members of the ITU who are providing the technical services, ladies and gentlemen. When I was told that I should give this talk, I was trying to find the topic that will apply appropriately. Eventually, I said, well, let me use my eyes that I've used to work in the university over these years to look at what the university has been, what it was it that made UI great, and what is it that we can do to keep that greatness, and what is it, the responsibilities of each and every one of us. So this talk is going to look through my lens, so whatever I say, some of them are going to be facts because they are stated, because they are known, and many of them are going to be things that I observed or things that are my own opinion. I said the body scan of Great University of Ibadan. I've spent 50 years, a little over 50 years in this university without a shift out of it. And I think that the university has built me up and has given me a sense of belonging, a sense of participation, and a sense of fulfillment. So I will be going in and out of each different ecosystem that I'm going to talk about, because everything that I will talk about are all part of the same body, the University of Ibadan, including the College of Medicine. So what does it mean? Why is it important for us to look at the past? Because the past has been so long, and it has consisted of different eras, different segments, different circumstances, different context. And it would be nice for us to learn from the things that have been in the past, because we do know that if we don't build on what we have had, it will degenerate, it will disintegrate, and we will have nothing else to hold. So the metaphor that I used as a scan, if you all know about ultrasound scanning, is to say that we will look at the university to diagnose the greatness that has been in it. We will look for the strength, and we will look for strained areas that can need to be supported. So if you look at the university in form of a body which is being scanned, we will look at the brain, which consists of the teaching mechanism that is being used in the university, or that was used and is still being used. The scholarships, the contributions of the teaching, training, and research mechanism in the university, and how the knowledge is created and transmitted to younger ones. We will look at the heart, because as the clinical services in the College of Medicine, for instance, are now relevant, the university's products has been to the community surrounding the university. And 3, the skeleton, which forms the structures of the body, the governance structure and institution, the policies, the processes in the university, and the procedures and the culture. And finally, we look at vital science, which will include the culture, the people, eminent people that are here, what we do and what we fail to do that can contribute positively or negatively to the development of the university. And finally, we will look at mentorship, the values and the resilience of the university system as applied in University of Ibadan, and how that has contributed to the development of other universities in the country, especially in Nigeria. Well, next slide. The next slide shows what has been said actually. This is just a trajectory of my own interaction with the university, that I came in 1967 into the Faculty of Science. And we will look at how I then ended up in medicine, okay? And then got the degrees and the milestones are as listed. I don't think I need to waste time on that because we'll talk about it. So what is the early years, my early years in the university, what is it that I learned? In 1967, when I came in as a student, under level, which was called preliminary level at that time, because there was no, it wasn't in unit system. It wasn't in the first year, the preliminary year was not regarded as already being part of the university. Between 1948, when University of Ibadan started, and 1967, when I came in, the university had only admitted and trained about 3,900 students only. That's over like 20 years. Because my own student ID number was 3900. If you look at that, you find that that means University of Ibadan was having a yearly admission of only about 200 students. And that is why many of the sets will know all of us. Like my 1967 set, we have the UI class of 1967. We form a club, we have an association, you know. And we know ourselves, whether you are in medicine or you are in arts or in social science, we even knew our halls of residence. We knew what club this one belonged to, what club that one belonged to, who was this, who was that. And that was one of the advantages of bringing all of us together as a body and to have socialization beyond your own, the course you were admitted for. Now, I think people just know themselves when you are doing, in fact, some dental students may not know some nursing students, as it is now. Not only because of the number, but because the system had been ballooned and is not able to match the numbers that have been admitted. So between that 1967 and 1974, the teacher to student ratio of UI in some courses was 1 to 6, 1 teacher to 6 students. It's like doing tutorial. It's like you are with your teacher all the time. And between 2021 and 2026, it had risen to 20 to 1. And in some courses, in fact, it was about double that, 40 students to 1 teacher. So therefore, certainly the quality of training, the quality of teaching, of mentoring, of supervision will be watered down. And the admission process at that time was also very interesting because University of Ibadan, even though by the time I entered UI, there had been 2 or 3 other universities, that is University of Lagos, University of Nigeria and Nsukka, and MWWIW University, just 4 of them. Each one announced their own, conducted their own entrance exam. So you could apply to all the 4, except that the war, disturbed admission into, prevented admission to UNN. But I, for instance, applied to all the other 3. I took all the entrance exams and I passed all of them. But I chose UI because, of course, everybody then was that, oh, if you didn't go to UI, then you are not in any university. In fact, as it turned out, University of Ibadan students used to call University of Ife Oluwasomi Grammar School. And University of Lagos, Biubaku High School. And maybe there will be a point where I will explain why that was so. And so with the WAEC, result and the exam result of preliminary examination conducted by UI, you were admitted. And you could trust that the admission process was so transparent. I believe even that I was a student, because I myself never knew that I could pass, because there were HSC level students who were also taking the concession and entrance exam. But it is so transparent, and they give you the best opportunity that you have. I applied to read physics in UI. That was what I applied for. So I was admitted into Faculty of Science. But because my own senior brother in my family, I'm the third child, but the second boy, I studied physical science, that is surveying. He told me that you took biology, so why don't you change to medicine? And the University of Ibadan will allow you to fulfill your destiny. It will allow you at that time to do what you are really interested in doing, what you want to study. I wanted to study physics so that I could go to American Space Center to work. Because the year before, I'd also taken University of Yale, where I wanted to do that. So I only just used the admission for science, and at the end of 100 level, I applied to convert to medicine. And they will look at you, they will list all those who want to convert, they will put all your marks there, and they will show you the ones that have been approved. And that is why today I am a medical doctor rather than be a physicist. And I'm very grateful to University of Ibadan for giving me that opportunity. So the admission process provided a wider opportunity for the few students that were available. And so you see the challenges that the students of nowadays face. You know, changing, of course, I don't think it's even allowed in UI anymore. So I don't know, that is why some students, in the College of Medicine, the students publish their what do they call it? Each set, they publish a booklet where they talk about themselves. Book, thank you. And one of the things they show there is, they ask themselves, given a second opportunity, what course would you have done? And about 35% of them never chose the course that they were doing, especially medicine. Most of them say, I would have done something else. But University of Ibadan at that time, I had a platform. As a matter of fact, for medicine, the dean of medicine when I came in was Professor Latunde Odeku. He interviewed each student that was going to be admitted into 200 level now, which is the first year of medicine, one-on-one inside Trenchard Hall, to ask, why do you want to study medicine? Why did you pick University of Ibadan? What do you think you are going to benefit? Are you going to have fulfillment? What will be your contribution? Those were the things he did. I think I have, in fact, one of the pictures that show that. Next one. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. In fact, this is not very clear. The man in the middle is Professor Latunde Odeku, who was the Dean of Medicine. And he's talking to some students. This is in front of Trenchard Hall. He did all of that, and I think all the other faculties did it similarly. So that people were really focused on the course, on what they chose to study. Now, the university education was delivered through an all-round developmental environment for the students. The university lecturers, a lot of them were, of course, from Europe, from Britain, and many top Nigerians were amongst them, were top-notch tutors, globally recognized and focused and fully committed to the system. Of course, the system supported them better. The environment was better. The infrastructure was better than we have now. And the tutors were totally committed to what they were doing, so much so that I don't think they were even thinking of their life. I don't think they were thinking of their after retirement. Many of them never had any other thing beyond their salary. And many of them never built a house until the point when the soldiers told them to pack out of university. I think I will talk about that again. The lecturers in the university were dedicated. The environment supported them. The infrastructure was there. the support system, financial system was there. International global connections, partnerships were established. They were strong. And they made use of that to develop the institution they were serving. And like I said, we'll be going in and out. So if I talk out of, because I'm on a topic and the slide does not apply, please pardon me. But you know, until the Gowon era, when the lecturers were on strike and they were forced to go back and they refused to go back because they wanted, the system was degenerating to what they were never used to. And they wanted to sustain the excellence that they had, which they were also building on. And then they were told to pack out of the university. And many, over 90% of them, had nowhere to pack to. So they had nothing else to do other than to do what? To call up the strike. And of course, they were disillusioned, they were disappointed. They had to rethink that, oh Lord, so we have not even been doing the right thing. We have not been looking after ourselves. And I think that is one of the things that the genesis of the decline in commitment in the university system. Yeah, lectures at that time were given on time. They were never postponed. Students were punctual. Not now. Sometimes students' lectures are postponed, lecturers are not around, or there's no power supply, or the ecosystem is not working. Things were working. Now students walk in late to lectures, and it wasn't allowed at that time. One of the reasons, of course, was that we were not many. I just mentioned it. That in the old university, only 200 students were admitted in a particular year. Not for medicine, for all the courses. So you see that the system could support their excellent academic development than we have now. Right, so because of the smaller numbers also, it was easier to enjoy mentoring from the lecturers. And even though mentoring was not as structured as it is now, it was in social continuous relationship. But it's extended beyond just teaching academic work, in socializing, in sports. I remember even as a medical student, I was playing rugby, which was established by Professor Hill. Professor Hill is a professor of veterinary medicine, or was a professor of veterinary medicine. And the facilities were made available for students, extracurricular activities, not just for academic work alone. Okay. Okay, in mentoring and in mentoring the students, it got to a point that these lecturers, people will want to be like them. Not just the way they talk, even the way they dress. I don't know. This is Professor Latunde Odeko on the left. And this, of course, this is me trying to have the same head shape like him, because he was just a fantastic, an inspirational tutor and trainer. So these two lectures, this is not AI, these are real pictures. It's not AI, these are real pictures from my archives. And if you go to the library, you'll find the bust of Latunde Odeko that was erected when I was provost and was sponsored by my set, the set of 1974. So that meant that actually the impression it made on us was really long-lasting. We finished in 74, I was provost in 94. That's 20 years after. My state decided that's what they were going to give. He was the one that admitted us into medicine. And by the time we finished, he had handed over to Professor O.A.Ojengbede who was the dean, it's the last year when we graduated. It was last year of Odeku when we came in. It was last year of Akikubu when we graduated. Anyway, so mentoring was really very good, and there were tutors we can remember who we after lectures, after tutorials, you go out for lunch, you go out for drinks, you go, you go for games and so on. And that endeared them to us and helped us to pick good, training from them. And I just hope that this sort of close interaction can still come back. Of course, that may be a bit of challenge because the numbers are bigger and the tutors are not as many as it used to be. And all of us have contributed to the numbers anyway. At that time, what was population of Nigeria? But now, we say that you take as many as God can give you, and people have so many children, and you can see admissions, hundreds of thousands of students applying and not having a space for admission, despite all the number of new universities that are being developed. Okay. Next slide. Next slide, please. I think the next slide is the one showing it's still on interactions and mentorship. Yes, this one. The picture on the left is that of Professor Senudom. Professor Senudom is professor of social science, political science, but he was the hall master of my wedding, of my hall, the hall master of Independence Hall. And honestly, how much of interaction do all masters have now with their students? Professor Senudom will come, sports was very active. There were inter-hall competitions, inter-hall football matches, and Independence Hall will carry us. He will lead. He will lead the support team for Independence Hall, to leading us in song. Independence, marching to the field, in the name of Jesus, we shall conquer. And so, obviously, that endeared him to us. I think he's late now. May his soul rest in peace. Yeah. Now, let me quickly go to, yes. Now, so when I finished undergrad level, I moved to medicine. Okay, you know that sometimes the university invites some students who have had a bit of leverage in a subject matter to do BSc. We did BSc. Incidentally, the immediate past chairman or president of ICOMA Worldwide, Professor Toloni, is online. He, of course, he was 2 years my senior, and he did the BSc as well in anatomy. And I followed in anatomy. So you see students are paid to do extra year and get an extra degree. It was part of UI's plan of developing tutors for the future of the medical schools in Ibadan or even outside Ibadan. Because, of course, basic medical sciences had no tutors, even up to now. And that is why we must hold on to the ones that we have. And at the end of the course, we were given, even as students, the opportunities to be like tutorial masters, like demonstrators that they called us. And so as medical students, we were still running our course and we were doing demonstration and we were being paid by the same university, formally, officially, here. And I can tell you that I particularly benefited from that so much. Because at that time, my parents couldn't even pay my fees. We don't have so much time to talk. But at undergrad level, after I entered University of Ibadan, by paying £10 deposit was what my parents could pay. I entered, You know, when you are given admission to UI, you get a letter that tells you the course you have been admitted for. It tells you the hall of residence that you have been allocated to. It gives you your bed space number. Even before you get here. It was so well organized. It was so well organized, you know where you are. You will be Block C, Independence, or room 501, you know, bed A. There are 2 beds only in the room. And with that, you enter your hall. And that reminds me, a friend of mine, we came in 67 together. We met in Oshobo. After my school start, I joined P&T. That's post and telegrams. What do you call them now? Nitel, or whatever it is, you know. And we had the group of us who took the exam. Which hall were you in the allocated to? Independence, or what about you? And one of them told Shadari, he wasn't actually admitted. And he said, which hall are you listed for? He said, Trenchard Hall. Anyway, you know, even though the government did not have a system of financial support as this new current government has set up, and we should show appreciation to that. And I mean it, I'm not a politician. Let me tell you this. I came here, I could only pay 10 pounds. Then exam was coming, and I had no room, but I was squatting. Yes, I was squatting. And when the exam was approaching, my senior brother, I told you I'm second son, he came from Musuka because the war had started. They brought them to University of Ife, which is where Polytechnic is now. That campus was used as University of Ife. They called the University of Ife Ibadan campus. It used to be School of Science and Technology for your state, where you did HSC. And so my senior brother went to the accountant student. I don't know if you still have accountant in charge of student affairs. It was then SM Afolabi. You know, remember SM Afolabi? It was the accountant students. My brother came to him to say, look, we can't pay, but he is going to finish soon, and he will pay UI with a post-dated check to allow me to take the exam. And Afolabi accepted it. And that's why I was able to run my 100 level. Until the last time of exam, when the university said those who have not paid their fees will not be allowed to take exam. There will be so many students who will know that story. Because some of us, in fact, including Ade Folalu, is a Major General retired. We couldn't pay, and we went to join the army. And the army says, on Saturday, join train from Ibadan to Kaduna to go and train. They give you crash training, and they whisk you to the war front. And so we are taking the warrant, railway warrant, I remember. And then on Friday, news, the then vice chairman of Kinnikon Council, ruling council, who was finance minister, late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, he then announced that no student should be sent out of exam on the account of inability to pay fees. But that his result may not be released. And so the question then was, we have not been preparing. So my friend at the fellow said, look, we failed, let's just go to Kaduna. I said, no, we will go and take this exam. If we pass, we stay. If we fail, we go. I encouraged him, he joined me, and we both passed. We both passed. So the thing is that the system, I'm sure now, if that system is available, is put in place, some of us, and pardon me if I sound rude, some of us may make it challenging even for the students to enjoy it. And I mean it. Last night, I went to see a patient on the ward because I know the relation, and the patient had terrible, illness. And I said, I need the telephone number of the consultant. The doctor said they will not give me. They did not know me. They said they will not give it. I said, look, I need to speak about this patient. Until I told them that, I didn't tell them I'm professor. I told them I'm emeritus professor. Then he said, oh, sir, let me go and ask the senior registrar. Let us know that the positions we occupy in any system is just as important, for instance, as that of the deputy provost, as that of the financial controller. All of us are members of the same ecosystem. And it's a system, the university is a system. One bad part affects the other good parts. So whatever you do in your filing, in carrying the files, in dispatching letters, in announcing, in making announcements, please do it as unto God. Because that is the only way the system can regenerate itself and move on and improve. Anyway, so let me go on. Global exposure in UI for our Nigerians who are there. We met some part of the lecturers who are, of course, foreigners. They were Caucasians, they were from Britain, and many were Nigerians. And all the people who did well had the opportunities of fellowships, of grants, welcome grant. They go for one, they come back from, before they come back, another one is available. All of that is no more. Therefore, we should struggle hard. Those who are in academia, and even those who are not academia, they should struggle very hard to be able to win grants, fellowships, to develop the academic environment, to contribute to the development of the institution, the university, and to support the ranking of the university. Now, I don't know whether new lecturers get any form of grant or exposure to granting. But in our time, Senate research grant was available. I don't know, Mr. You see, so these are some of the things, and people should also focus on the academic work. Otherwise, they may not put themselves in the sphere of global academic work, which is what built this place up. When you have names like Oshukoya, Oshutokun, Williams in pathology and so on, they did well, they focused. I think focus is very important. Now, people may jackpot if they want, but honestly, if you go out to enhance your academic training through a fellowship or through research grant or through study leave, please ensure that you come back. Ensure that you come back. You don't take the opportunity of the university and build yourself alone and deduct from the relevance of that university. If you come back and you work, or if you don't want to come back, then don't take the grant, don't take the study leave. in any case, when you do that, you block the opportunity for others. So those who take study leave must always come back. Jackpot if you desire, but don't jackpot the institution itself. Okay, so I did mention before that there was a lot of fluidity. In 1965, I think, Dr. Saburi Biobaku became the registrar of the University of Ibadan. Okay? And in 1967, he was transferred to Lagos as the vice chancellor, the second vice chancellor of the new university. So indeed, at that time, so I don't know at what point this issue of academic, non-academic came up. You know, because people moved from, thank you, sir. People moved from being in administration to academia. And I just mentioned Saburi Biobaku. Even as recently as well in 1995-96, Dr. Ojo was in central administration. He became professor of law. He even became the dean of law. And from the College of Medicine, Peter Abu also did the same thing. So it's a challenge to all of us that are here, that are not currently in academia, that really the opportunities that UI provides is there for people to identify and to be able to, I hope you are not coming to me. Okay. You know, so you can actually move and develop as well. And that will make fulfillment, I think, in the life of those who are interested in academia, but who have found themselves in administration. When we went abroad, some of us did say that we will surely come back, and we came back. We also said we were not going to take the foreign exams, because at one point, if you didn't take the foreign exam, even University of Ibadan will not recognize you at that time. They gave more recognition to degrees from abroad, and the fellowship trainees there were not given equal recognition at par with the same level as in Britain. And my set from OBGYN here, consisting of Dr. Mario, you know Dr. Mario, myself, and Oliton, and four of us, we insisted that we were not going to take the foreign exam, and we will come back and we will vie to become lecturers. And that is what we did. And that was the turning point for the recognition that was then given to those who were locally trained. We were the first set of those locally trained that were appointed as lecturers and consultants. Okay. So more than 37 years of teaching and training I've been involved in, especially in areas of reproductive health, environmental health, and international collaborations. Medicine as a service, not as a science only. The UCH, which UI uses as its own training laboratory, was also, like University of Ibadan, one of the best in Africa and even globally in the Commonwealth. We have had the stories of how the University of Ibadan ranked as the third best university in the Commonwealth in those days. Yeah, and that can be restored. No, please don't shake your head. No, it can be restored. It can be restored. They said that, look, in a village, there is a wise woman who will help them resolve difficult challenges, arguments. And a young man who said, A woman didn't go to school. I have PhD, I have DSc. I'm wiser than this one, I can prove it. And he said, he held two birds. One is dead, one is alive. And asked the woman, tell me which one is alive, which one is dead? No, tell me the bird in my hand, is it dead or alive? Hoping that if the woman said the bird is dead, he will release the life. If the woman said it's life, he will release the dead one, just to make sure that the woman is not that recognized. And the woman answered, young man, whether the bird is dead or alive, the answer is in your hand. So the point I'm trying to make is, the answer is in our hand. Things can be done. We should aim high. Those of those days, yes, the environment was more supportive, the infrastructure was better, policies were supportive, but they were committed. I didn't mention that lectures were never postponed, hardly ever postponed or shifted. And you see that lecturers within here, if you go to the ramp by 7, you will see the place fully packed with cars of trainers. But now, the lecturers that are here now, including when I was there, I was still in employment, the challenges are enormous. No offices, no power in clinical sciences block, no nothing really, no reagent to teach, no classroom. This, we thank God for the sets of the graduates of University of Ibadan that refurbished this lecture and the auditorium. Otherwise, I think 10 years back, this place was appalling. The seats were falling off, and you couldn't even deliver a lecture in this place. So all of us are part of those who require to be, who can change, make things change. Yes, I've mentioned the issue of University of Ibadan. University of Ibadan's relevance in developing academia and education in Nigeria. Expansion through the use of its leaders and principals who are drawn to other universities. For instance, UI campuses, University of Jos, I hope you know that, University of Ilorin and University of Calabar never started as universities. They were started as off-campus, outside campus of University of Ibadan. And they had University Ibadan lecturers and staff who went there to staff them as college. So they were called principals, actually. The principal of the college, in UI, in Jos, in Ilorin, and in Calabar. And they have been developed to become full-fledged universities now. So we know that anywhere that people from University of Ibadan go to, they carry the culture, the excellence, the performance, and the practices of the University of Ibadan to those centers, and that is why they are doing very well. So UI's influence travels with the members of its community who go to wherever they are posted to. And let me tell you that for those members, the university tried to cater for all and sundry, even the lower junior staff, as it was called. Okay, University of Ibadan started staff school. Okay, they started staff school, international school, but they also started Abadina Primary School, Abadina Secondary School, that took care of the children of the junior staff who could not enter the other secondary schools. And if you look at it, up to today, the influence of that platform, is very obvious. Many of the hall residents, porters, security men and so on, who came from a particular part of the country, Eastern, the northern part of Edo State, their children got the opportunity to enjoy proper training. And that is why you find them also now still at a higher level of education and status when compared to the other colleagues. So what made UI great and still matters? One is mentorship. I've mentioned about the mentorship. I've talked about institutional memory, and that is where the problem is. Institutional memory, when the records are not properly kept, okay? Up to a point, I think before it transmuted to University of Ibadan, the record keeping system was much better. But over the time, the quality, thank God for the director of the ITU who came to talk about keeping data in the cloud. Okay? Many times now you look for some things, you can't find them in UI. The information that you want and you can't get because the institutional memory is not there. And this is one of the areas that I think the university needs to develop further. If we look at the Faculty of Public Health, the church, that church where it's built, that land was meant for phase 2 of that building of Faculty of Public Health. But there was no memory. There was no memory for it. It was developed into a church for only a flimsy excuse. Anyway, so institutional memory is very, very important. And academic standards should be kept. We need to build up the academic standard again to what it used to be in rigor, in research rigor, in training rigor, in scholarship, in research for expertise. Also in global connections, the university should also reestablish itself in improving global connection. And public purpose. The universities is established to influence the development of the local environment of the country where they're in, and also globally. And resilience in doing this, as it was before, supporting the aspirations, of the individual members, the departments and units and faculties of the university. Now, I think the university has about 17 faculties. Am I correct? 17? 17 faculties. I don't know how many we have in the college, but I think the college has about 7. Yeah. Oh, okay, 6. Well, University College of Medicine has always had about 1/3 of the number of faculties of the university. And we also need to build that up. And not just because of numbers, but because that is the only way we can keep developing. That is the only way we can keep the standards high and still be relevant within the university system itself. So what should concern us? The academic atmosphere should concern us. The system expansion should be our desire. It should be something we should focus on. Leadership selection. The leadership selection in the university system, of course, has changed over the time. Okay? Even at local departmental level. In the years past, the most senior professor was the head of department. And that fellow will remain head of department until he says he doesn't want anymore, or he leaves or dies or something like that. Yeah, that had disadvantages and advantages. One of the big things was there was discipline, and there was somebody you can hold on to as being responsible. But it was not democratically processed. And so that may be one of the great disadvantages. Now, that time, the dean will work, the head of the department will work over 3 years, renewed again and renewed again. If there was no professor in a department, if there was a professor in a department, he will also be the head of the department. I was the first acting head of Ops and Gynae. When suddenly all the senior ones left, and I told you, we said we will not leave. Here we will stay. On this land we will occupy and develop. And so I was the very first acting head of ONG for 2 years. Now, I see that they've democratized the process by allowing people to contribute and members of the department to select. It is good. But then they are changing it to 2 years. What can anybody do to improve a place in 2 years? Because many of the departments that I've seen, you see a rapid growth in the number of heads of department. 2 years before you settle down to plan what you want to do, you're on your way out again. So it's just fulfilling righteousness that I was head of ONG. But what should happen, sir, Mr. Provost, is that I don't know why they do 2 years. I don't have, my feeling is I don't have the right to say to the number of years they can do. But I think it's something that the university needs to look at. So, what did the journey teach me? I'm trying to rush through, okay? So what did the journey teach me? The journey taught me that people remember who took their development seriously. That is mentoring. I can tell the lecturers who taught us very well. I can tell the ones who didn't do that well. The same thing. Institutions shape us, and we shape them. So if you build a weak institution, you will get a weak support. What you put in is what you take out. So don't think that the development of the institution is independent of your development. No, they are related. 3, leadership is service. It's not just that you want to fulfill a personal ambition. Yes, it may be your turn, but are you really keen in contributing to the place? And how can you use the past to develop the present and prepare for the future? Research must solve real problems, and resilience is important. So the future of UI and academic medicine in the college will depend on medical education, competency-based training, more simulations and team learning, and humanism alongside technology, not just technology alone. What about research? Because we have medical education, research, and service. Sustainable funding is important. Multidisciplinary practice should be encouraged, and better translation into policy should be the focus. If you do research that doesn't lead to anything, you know, it's for nothing, and nobody benefits from it. Technology and AI, the university and the College of Medicine should be looking at it. AI-assisted learning and research is one of the things now. Digital health and data systems, ethics and verification are all very important. What should each generation do next? The students. The students should seek mentors, not only looking for marks. They should build depth before visibility, and they should use technology to extend thinking and not replace thinking. They should use technology to improve their thought process, not to replace it, because that is one way that institutional memory will die off. Early career academics is important. UI did a lot of that in the past when the student numbers were few, I don't know how that can still be embedded in what we are doing. Jack. So I have 5 prescriptions for the next era of UI. Restore formative student-teacher interaction. Protect academic leadership and standards. Fund research that matters. And use technology with judgment. Build succession into every system. If you are the head of the department, you should be interested in good succession or good successor, and not just leave the department alone, just to hand over. Sustain excellence by building the next generation. And UI, that was UI in 1967, can still be a better University of Ibadan, even at this time that we are in. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for your attention. Thank you. I want to thank my teachers. I had a slide, but I removed it because I thought I could skip some. Those who helped me to go through this university. For 40 minutes, if I were to talk about I didn't touch my experiences, I left them around. Okay? But we should encourage our children to know that there is no success without a challenge. If you are not challenged, you will not say I've succeeded. It's because there's a problem, and you can't live without living. So let them not think that they are the only ones that have suffered or are suffering to get education, and that their parents are not doing enough. Their parents are doing so much, but the country is limiting the benefits of what we do. Encourage them. Let them face the challenges. I've told you only a small of all the challenges that I faced. I forgot to tell you one thing. Please permit me to say that this university, you saw, I think there was a slide of, I skipped several slides, of a team. That was the basketball team for University of Ibadan. University of Ibadan encouraged students on all like a comprehensive developmental process for the UI to pass through them. So even medical students who are supposed to be very busy, I was playing basketball for the university. In any case, I had no books, I had nothing. I've said each time I give a lecture like this, I will remember my benefactor, one of my classmates, Olumide Okikiolu, is a doctor in England. He had several books, and it was his own book I was reading. When he's reading anatomy, he will give me biochemistry. Even though I have physiology tests to do, I'll be reading biochemistry. When he gives me this, but the good thing was, in the end, he will come out to say, I have the books, all the books. You, this boy, you always beat us. And he was never bitter. He was never envious. He allowed me ever to read the books. If you were a sports person in UI will camp you during long vacation. All sports students were in camp during the 3 months long vacation. And you know the way they do it? All the teams were arranged, and the sports center, they give it to the sports world director. You go there, you say, I play basketball. You bring out your ID card. They look at the list. The pack is already there. Milk, sugar, bread, Bonvita, Milo, everything. And they hand it to you, University of Ibadan. They hand it to you, and you go to the hall. They used to use either Teda Hall or Kuti Hall. Okay? You go to the room. If you are in basketball team also, you put basketball, at the same time they will give you the pack of basketball. If you are in sports, in athletics, and I was in athletics, they will also give you for athletics, so I carried 3 bags. So there was a system. It was followed. It was respected. It was supported. May the Lord charge you to do same, to support the system that is building you so that you can be built yourself. In my own little way, I contributed to the building of the University of Ibadan, but I'm here because God used the university to develop me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, a big round of applause for our eminent emeritus professor. Thank you very much, sir. You may be seated. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah. I was actually seated there, and I calculated the time our eminent emeritus professor spent standing. And I was actually wondering if any one of us belonging to this critical generation, in quotes, can actually stand for that long without looking for where to sit. Thank you very much, sir. And, you know, he was trying to make mention of so many things that had happened in the past. What Emeritus Professor has just shared with us is actually a journey of 60 years, of almost 60 years, not even 50 years in my own perspective, because everything is dated back to 1967 when he started the journey in this university. And I also want to say, gone are the days. If you know, you know. Gone are the days, gone are the days. Thank you very much, sir. We are, shortly, we will go into the comments question and comment section. But because of our time, we might not be able to take so many questions and comments. So we are going to be taking questions stroke comments, maybe one for each row. One from this row, the middle row, and then the extreme row there. Then we also take comments, questions from the high table, and from the 2 high tables that we have here. So without wasting our time, I also, before that one, let me just quickly recognize some of our participants online. The last time I checked the Zoom link, I was able to see some of our participants online. I cited Mr. David O.A.Ojengbede. He's actually one of us, and he's also the registrar of Trinity University. Thank you for participating. Then Professor Adeshola Odole was online. Professor Chizoma Indecom. I also cited Professor Yemi Raji. Then one of our HODs, Dr. Yetunde John Akinola, was also online. Especially, I want to deliver the message of the Director of Administration in UCH, University College Hospital, who is unavoidably absent. She sent in apologies. And we also extend courtesies to our UCH counterparts who are also here to grace this occasion. In like manner, I also want to recognize the presence of the Director of CMU, that's the College of Medicine Education Unit, Professor Augustine Adiolu, who is also eminently present here. So it is time for question. For those of us online, just post your question in the chat box. Then our ITU will try to help us project it to read it out to the audience. So if we have comments section on this row, any question, comments? Here. Okay, we have one there. Do we have another? We have taken one from this row. Okay, so let me come to, Professor Adejumobi. Then here, so any comments? Okay. the financial controller will. Okay, I will read the question. You also have a comment. Okay. Thank you very much. So let me please. One of our support staff should actually help me get a microphone for the audience on the floor so that I will coordinate up here. Okay, he already has, but let me start with Professor Adejumo first for her question. Let me start with you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And I'm delighted to have Professor O.A.Ojengbede here, who is actually one of my mentors. I remember being with him in Virginia, and I asked him a question, because here in this hall, we were taught about mentorship. And I asked him a question that day. I'm sure, I don't know whether you can remember. I said, where are the mentors? And that generated a lot of discussion between me and him. The second thing is, while I was working in the hospital, I actually had the privilege of working with Prof on breastfeeding project. I reminded him some years ago. And the last thing is that when he said 50 years of discussion, and I heard that he started working here in 1967. That's actually the year I was born. And I'm going to be 60 years. I'm going to be 60 years. And so you can imagine, I mean, a child, when you look at me, you can imagine a child that was born when Prof, started in the University of Ibadan. Can we give him a round of applause once more? Thank you, sir. So I have a question and a few comments. Number one is, as you were speaking, what was ringing in my mind is, honestly speaking, ladies and gentlemen, why can't we use information like this to actually rebrand UI? I've heard about rebranding. I don't know what you're talking about in such gatherings and meetings. But if we have this type of thought-provoking issues, it will really be nice for us to see how we can. I know that the world that we are now is not the world we were then. I was in a secondary school, I was traveling, I got stranded on the way, and I just went into one house. I looked at all the houses there. I just saw a beautiful house. I went in there, I knocked the door. I was a secondary school girl. And I told the owner of the house, please, I'm traveling, my father's driver dropped me here, and it's late, and I can't get a vehicle to the east. Please, I need help. He said, how can I help you? I want to sleep. In the morning, I'll continue my journey. And that's all. They gave me a water bed. I've never slept on a water bed before in my life. I slept off. In the morning, they said, are you not traveling again? They had to come and wake me. I continue sleeping. I mean, if I do that of Nigeria of today, okay, the rest is better imagined. So I quite understand that the Nigeria that we are now is different, but that notwithstanding, honestly speaking, we still have human beings, and we can really utilize that. My second is, I was in Calgary recently, and I was talking about University of Ibadan, and two people, took me up. One person told me that I should not talk about University of Ibadan, that we started in 1948, but that 1948, we were not University of Ibadan. That it was until 1962. So when you are talking about University of Ibadan being the first, and a lot of things are online, you can Google it. So I just want Prof to kind of illuminate that. The person took me up on two issues. The person said that, incidentally, for the program I went for, I had many people from UI, so I was supported. I had people behind me, and were able. But after leaving that meeting, I went online. They told me that University of Calabar was not part of our campuses. That UNN gave birth to University of Calabar. I mean, in that meeting, University of Calgary that I went. So when I saw it on the slide, I said, this is a high time I begin to ask of this clarification about that point. And the last one is that I heard you talk about selection of leaders. And I was really interested in a word, or at least a sentence, on how vice chancellors were selected then. I'm sure you will say that's a volatile issue. I'm sure he is a man with wisdom, but I'm really interested. I know what happened with the last selection of the vice chancellor. Not this current one. This current one was so quiet and silent that I became afraid. but the previous one was so volatile and hot that I was wondering, are we still in the university? So I just want to know, what is it like then selecting and having a vice chancellor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma. I want okay, the next one. Okay, so sir, you can.
All right, my name is Ademilola Famoriele. Having listened to the great emeritus delivery this morning, I'm really thrilled when he was talking about the good old days, the glorious days of UI. And I felt like, oh, I wish we could go back to that era. And I pray that the glorious days will come back in Jesus' name. Now, the history of the university system supporting staff and students to explore and fulfill their potentials is quite obvious. It's quite obvious and commendable. Now, the question is, what is the prospect of career development support or program and retention of non-teaching staff in the University of Ibadan? Please, this question is addressed strictly to the Secretary to the Secretary to the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. One house, please. One house. Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have a question or comment again from? Okay, sorry, medical librarian.
Thank you very much, sir, for that thought-provoking lecture. I was just wondering, you said everything. You didn't mention how the library was at that time. When you were a student and when you started as a staff, how was the library? As a student, you didn't have many books. Were there books in the library for you to read? Were there journals when you started up as a lecturer here in the college? How was the library? And I'm very glad that statue of Professor Ilatunde Odeku, that it was your set that put it there. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, medical librarian. I also have a question/comments written here. So the question, says storing document. The participant is asking a question on storing documents in cloud. Then number 2, making reference to good old days. Asking a question that can we have this time again? And then what can we do as an individual staff member to help in bringing these old good days back to reality? Thank you very much. And on the online, let me just read a few comments online, because I want to read a few comments online. They are just comments. Yes, sir. Yeah. So I think it's very important to read comments online, at least to give our online participants a feel that they belong to this program. So this says from Taiwo Adiremi, says, great to hear from teacher of my teachers. It is a privilege to be a part of this rare opportunity. Then another one from Mrs. Olubumifaluyi saying, thank you so much, sir, for sharing these wonderful memories. And then we also have from Professor Emmanuel Otolorin. When he was sharing his maybe 53rd or 52nd year experience since he graduated from medical school, I was like, wow. So he says, thanks to Professor Ojengbede for taking us back to memory lane. It's interesting how things have changed across generations. In my time, we used to complain that our predecessors were served their afternoon snacks by stewards in their rooms. Wow. But this was stopped, and we were made to go down to the dining room to serve ourselves. Wow. I doubt if those good days will ever come. So these are the these are a few comments time will actually permit us to take. So right about now, I would hand over the microphone to to Emeritus Professor Ojengbede to respond to these comments and these questions. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you for your attention. Now, first, You know, UI was the only university at one point. Yeah, it started in 1948 as College of University of London. So the student, you remember before then, the biggest tertiary institution in Nigeria, which was not degree awarding, was the Yaba College. And students from Yaba College, when when the British Parliament decided that, oh, the British Commonwealth should establish 2 universities in the Commonwealth, one in Accra and one here. That's why the university in Accra is about the same thing as you are. When the university started, it was like owned by government. The agitators for independence were the one who agitated for a tertiary institution in Nigeria. So the vice chancellors were, to a major extent, unpicked. It wasn't like in democracy as we have now. At that time, they knew ahead who was going to become the next, because the Nigerians that were there were few. That is why you find Eninjoku, for instance. He became VC here. He went to Lagos to become VC. They took him again to Usuka to become VC, the same person. I have his photograph here, but I skipped the slide. So those who were senior were already earmarked, they were already known. It was like automatic. Like I told you, even here in the departments, or even in the University of Ibadan, they knew Lambo was going to be the next fellow after him. Okay? And it was after that that the process became a bit more democratized. Moreover, but the whole thing incursion into the military, into the system, in exercising the power they think they had. And there was a time they even, as Gowon said, you as you give honorary degree to, I think, to Kaunda or somebody, you know, and it was tug of war to convince him that the university doesn't give honorary degree that way. UI didn't give it, but he didn't like it. And after that, you know what they said? They said, what the hell? We own the university, we fund you, we employed you therefore. Just as we transfer civil servant from Ministry of Health to Ministry of Agric, we will begin to transfer vice chancellors. That is one of the reasons the whole thing broke down. No, they took the university, the vice chancellor here to somewhere else. They took Onaguluchi to Ife. They took Enijoku to Lagos. They started transferring, and the whole thing just became disorganized. Finally, in one of the graduation ceremonies, you know, they didn't know what the academic culture is. They said, oh, you need to develop, raise funds, and the head of state just took off the cap of O.A.Ojengbede Thomas and said he was collecting cap in hand to collect money. And that was it. And that actually spiritually was where the academic excellence in the university education became uncapped. It is spiritual. And O.A.Ojengbede Thomas never forgave them for that. In fact, I think he left after he was taken to Lagos to start College of Medicine. You know, College of Medicine of Lagos was actually on his own, not part of a university originally. And then they joined it because when they saw that, oh, you have to award degree, then you need a university. So that is exactly what happened, that the process was not as formalized as it is. As for the library was one of the best in the whole of Commonwealth. UI Library was one of the best. And it was well stuffed for all the books. The only thing, you know, there were only 3 faculties: Faculty of Science, Faculty of Arts, and Faculty of Medicine. Those are the three that you I started with in 1948. And it took a long time before they added the other things, political science, social sciences, and so on. So the library served, but special books like for anatomy and so on were not, they couldn't buy enough to go around everybody. And you couldn't take it out because it would be one. You can read it and you can't take it out. So that, I think that was the thing. But then that was recognized, and that's why this library, the medical library, started by itself on its own, which then stocked more books than the main university library would have done for a particular discipline. I think that's the second one. Any other one? Which one? Possibility of bringing it back. All things are possible. But words of mouth do not create things. Words of mouth will not create them. We ourselves will have to create them. And as human beings, we think perhaps more of ourselves than anything else. Let me tell you this. When I was provost, I had assisted one lady from Makurdi to come for residency here, just as I did for so many from other places, okay? And one day, I think she was on call. I was already provost. And I was going, I normally pass through my department. And she said, sir, come and list my uncle. And she introduced me to that gentleman, who Yoshe Vyashima, that's the name, from Benue State. He was the chairman of Federal Urban Mass Transit. And so when I said Urban Mass Transit, you are the chairman, he gave me his card. And I said, oh, I will need your assistance. So, since the niece told me this is my uncle. And the man said, no. This thing is given to transporter, established transporter. I said, College of Medicine is an established transporter. I said, how? He said, because we take students to Igbora, to Abeokuta, to Eruwa, to this, to that. Well, he said, if you can couch it very well, but actually, let me tell you, I don't mind allocating to you. You know, it was almost free. They give it to you, you pay a deposit, you pay the balance over years. That all I need is give you the letter of allocation, and the boys transporters who are looking for a Kennedy Lichukwu and also, they will buy it. I give you the extra. I said, no, I really need it for all this. He said I should go and write and develop an application, which I did. It was Mr. Oladeji, yes. Oladeji who brought it to me in council for me to sign, to give it to him. He eventually allocated those two buses. You remember the Mercedes buses? Two of them. Yeah. He allocated them, and we got money from O.A.Ojengbede and one Baba from Ondo to deposit for those things. What I'm saying is, I'm giving you this story so that if you want it to be back, it will be back. If you don't want it to be back, it will not be back. Okay? And eventually we got those two buses. It was during the time of Abiola, you know, no fuel, kokori or something. Yeah. So I said, how are we going to now pay the money back? How do we pay the money back and pay fully so that it is ours? There was no fuel. Then I remember that I have a patient who is a dealer. You know that mobile? The mobile up down the road, that petrol station, the woman there then, the wife of a professor in UI, Professor Phillips of NISA. I went to her, look, let us agree. We will use your dump. I will go to NNPC and get fuel. We will use your dump. You take half and sell and take the profit, but we will use this one and we will be running the buses. Then anyway, long and short, we started running UI usage. You remember, those who are here. And then, within 2 years, we paid that back money. We paid it back. Within 2 years, I paid, we were supposed to pay over 4 years. I paid it from the college. The financial controller, then one Baba, from Ondo. Very nice man, you know, simple, quiet Baba, you know. We paid, and the bus became ours. You see, when the time of VC ship came, and I applied, and I was winning, people wrote to say, I used college money to go and buy those buses, and I bought an inflated rate, and I'm giving myself as an example. Look, if you want it to be back, it will be back. If you, for simple things, somebody hands over something to you, but because you don't agree, instead of developing it, you destroy it. When I was acting VC, I went to government. I said, this aerodrome that you have abandoned is very close to UI. We need accommodation for lecturers. Why don't you sell it to us? And we will develop it. And that process was on, but you know, I was not VC, I was acting VC for 4 months. The same thing, I went to Baba, Iku Baba, Yeya Alaafin, Obadeyemi. Baba, give us land. We want to plant thick trees. My idea was, if UI can plant thick trees, forever we'll be cropping, because every 10 years we'll crop. He gave us the land. Nobody followed it up again. The one of aerodrome, they got the idea from me, and when nobody followed it up, government turned it into an estate itself. If you want to do it, it will come. The answer is in your hand.
Another round of applause for Emeritus Professor. Yeah, thank you very much. If we want it to be back, it will be back. Yes, I received, I got approval from the Deputy Provost, who has given Professor Ajayi the privilege to just make one or two, just 30 seconds, sir.
Thank you very much. My apologies for having to speak after our emeritus. Thank you very much. So it's just on the point about the good old days that our emeritus professor spoke about. I read your biography during when you did your 70th birthday. I have it. It's one of the best books on my bookshelf. I've read the story. Most of the things you said here, on the personal history. Thank you very much. So the book you read on your 70th birthday, I think I have a copy of that book, the story, student UI days, and some of the events. And it's touching. I've learned a lot from that. The other thing is, so the good days, it's something that we all need to reflect upon. Thank you very much, sir, for giving back. But I must say that I've engaged some of my colleagues here. It is not everyone who will do what you have done. And it is a problem of leadership challenge. Now, about 15 years ago, Professor Femi Osofison, not the wife, the husband, the writer, wrote something about the good old days of the University of Ibadan. And I reflected on that. And he made a point in saying that the University of Ibadan, by doing that in those good old days, did not engage people, was not intending to produce leaders. Because that generation produced people with a sense of entitlement, who then went on in our country today. And we can see it. How much of that have we seen in them that they are giving back to the country? You know, they were like princes. They were like kings. He said, when you do that, people will not rise up to the responsibility. Nigeria was a developing country. Nigeria was producing leaders. It contrasted that with what happened in South Africa. Because then, those who are going to be leaders were sent abroad, including Thabo Mbeki, who came as a squatter and schooled in Nigeria. And so they knew that it was not all the same thing. The same thing with the leadership in Singapore. They sent them abroad, and they developed a blueprint to go back and develop their country. But Nigerian was doing something else, was making young people feeling too uncomfortable. And he said, you cannot produce leaders. If you contrast that with what we are doing in our own families, those of us sitting down here now, we are also producing children with a sense of entitlement. You are using a Nokia 3310. Your son and daughter is using an Apple phone. So, and the results are very obvious. So if we think seriously about it, personally, I would not want the good old days back. What we want is we should begin to rethink and audit what we did in the past. Indeed, the very first university lecture delivered by Professor Emmanuel Ayandele addressed this point. If you go for inaugural lecture, you can buy a copy. He talked about the academics, the leaders, and the nation building. And his core book for the academics then, who came from that generation, was not a good one. We remember the late historian. He was the first principal of the University of Jos in the university. So he addressed all these things. So it is a rethink on how, look at our National Assembly. Look at the leadership. These are people who had a good time. And already you addressed that point, sir. People got scholarship here. Leave of absence. They go abroad. University sponsors them. But they are not thinking how to come back and serve the system. We will not have many people like you who are originally made to think of how to lead. When we do that, we are going to be producing people who, with a sense of entitlement, who thinks that the Nigerians should continue to serve them. So that is just the small point I want to make, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Prof. I understand Prof is a clergy, and so he's actually permitted to take that much time for his comments. So I think we have actually come to the end of questions and comments for this important occasion. While we were taking the comments and questions, I received a message that the dean, one of our brand new deans, the dean of the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences, is here with us in person of Professor O.A.Ojengbede. You are welcome, sir. Sir, you may make your way to at least to the front here. Thank you very much, sir. So, we are getting very, very close to the end of this important edition of monthly workshop for well-informed workforce. And this time around, I will be calling on the Deputy Registrar and the Secretary to the College, Mr. A.E. Odedele, for announcements.
Thank you very much. And the first announcement is that the Dean of Basic Medical Sciences should kindly come to the podium. So we are waiting for you, Professor Adaramoye. A round of applause for him as he comes forward. Thank you. It is said that Oriade ki sunta. So, well, and because of the constraint of time, I would just like to appreciate the resource person. I will not say much about what you have said because there is so much to say. I will only pick one thing that concerns my own constituency, and that's about institutional memory. It's a challenge to all of us at the individual level, at the college level, the university level, and the national level, and so many things, but let me just be very, very brief. And let me address my people also. I've always said this, complaining about punctuality. By the time we started off, nobody would have felt that the auditorium would be half full. At a point in time, we were considering locking the door. Punctuality, they say, is the soul of business. When we have the guest lecturer, the deputy provost, and deans here on time, then what excuse do we have? All these people on the high table, they are very busy people. And if they are here on time, then we have no excuse. Please, let's address that. It's just announcements. So, first one, I have 5 points here. The first one is, there is no doubt that the college is passionate about capacity development. And it's not just talk, we can see it. We organize this, and there are other programs that we organize, both for academic staff and for non-teaching staff. So please, let's ensure that we leverage this opportunity, we optimize it. College is committed to building capacity and grooming well-grounded professionals with a rich sense of history. And that's why we sent notice to all deans and all heads of departments that they should encourage early career academics to attend this. Without the past, we all build on the past. It's the foundation. So please, we have heard a lot, we have learned a lot from the resource person and from other remarks that have been made here. And a little here, a little there, precept by precept, line by line, things are built. So please, let's avail ourselves of this opportunity. Once again, I want to thank the chairman, the college management, and the chairman and other members of MWWIW for putting this together. It's a big sacrifice, and I also want to thank our resource person once again for heeding our call. We really, really appreciate it. It's not easy to catch big fishes. So thank you. We really inconvenienced you, but we appreciate it. So certificates have been issued, but it's beyond certificates. So for those who attended, please check your email. Certificate for attendance are the last ones have been circulated. So the next edition, that's the last thing I'm going to say for now. The next edition will hold as the 24th edition. I think this is the 23rd edition. This is the 24th. Okay, so the 25th edition will hold on Friday, 12th September in this auditorium. And that lecture will be delivered by the immediate past registrar of the university, that is Mrs. Olubunmi Ofaluyi. So please, let's note that date. I want to appreciate all early career academics who have attended, and I want to enjoin our HODs to please encourage participation among academic staff. So, thank you very much.
Please, let's appreciate the service to the college once again. Thank you very much, sir. I've actually not, the way I'm actually dressed this morning, so many people have accosted me on the way, and they felt I belong to, that I'm actually one of the medical librarians and brothers in the... So as I'm even anchoring this program, I'm seeing myself on my phone, and I didn't know I'm this beautiful. Even in this regalia. Thank you very much. So as we move on, I want to quickly call on Professor Oga. Is the chairman of the Capacity Development Committee in the college, and his leadership has been the brain behind the organization of this particular program. So I want to call on him to give his brief remarks. You are welcome, sir.
I didn't know I'll be called. Very unusual. the provost, our elder, and members of the high table, both on this side and on the other side. So I'm not disappointed that I'm here today. I sent you a message, maybe you didn't read it. I was in Cape Town yesterday. I arrived Lagos last night. I had to come to Ibadan early this morning in order to attend this program. Thank you very much. So, thank you so much. We learned a lot from the wealth of knowledge. I want to thank our Deputy Provost, he's always here. And the engine house, he always says it's the committee, but the engine house is the college secretary who is making everything happen. Thank you very much, sir, for all you do. And thank you, everybody, for coming. I think this is maybe the highest number we have had in many months. And it's not just because we want to come, but we want to hear the person who spoke to us. So thank you so much, sir. We're very grateful.
Thank you very much, Professor Oga. So very quickly, I'll be calling on the Provost of the College of Medicine, Professor O.A.Ojengbede, FAS, who is ably represented here by Professor S.B. Holaleye, the Deputy Provost of the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, for his closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Again, I want to sincerely, on behalf of the entire College of Medicine, appreciate our father, Professor O.A.Ojengbede, for giving us the lowdown of, well, I won't say lowdown, because if we had given him 5 hours, we would have spent 5 hours. So we appreciate you, sir. In the course of the discourse, a number of things came up as a challenge to us. And I know that some of those who have spoken, especially the acting Dean of Clinical Sciences, had given us some. The Dean of Nursing was talking about our experience, people challenging whether the University of Ibadan is the first university. And that's not a new argument. It's not a new form of discourse. But the truth of the matter is, what status was given to the University College in 1948? It was the status of a university. And therefore, University of Ibadan is the first university in Nigeria. University College Ibadan in 1948 was established by the British people alongside 3 other universities. University of Hong Kong was established the same day University of Ibadan was established. It was also a college, so they still regard them. So we have historical facts to ourselves. So nobody can bamboozle us and say that you are not a university. So UI is the first university in Nigeria. You talked about rebranding. The truth of the matter, Prof said it, he said it, the rebranding starts from you. You are the Dean of the Faculty of Nursing, so start rebranding that faculty. You are a secretary in a particular office, start rebranding in that office. When they say the resumption is 8 o'clock, don't come at 9 o'clock. That is rebranding. When a file gets to your table as the head of a department, as the dean of a faculty, have a conscience that somebody's life is being affected if you do not treat that file. That is rebranding. And I believe we're going to get to that level. So I want to thank all our deans, the CMD, its representative, and all the people that are online. I think they've mentioned a lot of them as we prepare for the next one, which is going to be another big one from our former DR and secretary to the college, Mama Olubumi Falui. We'll prepare for her. We will begin to fast for that particular program. There is intellectual fasting. No, I'm not talking of physical fasting. So we'll prepare for her, and we pray that all of us will be here that day. God bless you, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Provost, sir. So, without closing remarks, we have come to the end of the 24th edition of the monthly workshop for well-informed workforce. But before we sign off, I think I should introduce myself proper. My name is Sojourner Dayo. I'm a principal assistant registrar in the academic units of the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Thank you very much. So may we rise for the anthems. BCC. Thank you for coming. So there's going to be a group photograph for members on the high table. Thank you.